Welcome to WorkYogi Diaries. I'm your host, Santosh Shiva. A quick introduction about myself. I am from Bangalore, India, but I live in Houston, Texas now. For the last 25 plus years, I've been working in the technology consulting as a sales professional. Please join me every week to hear stories about people finding self expression through their work. So, why this show? Because we spend a major part of our life at work of some kind. It's a journey. It's a journey of ups and downs, self discovery, and finding one's groove over a period of time. Stories of everyday folks finding their groove through work is worth telling and listening to. And hopefully, we can take back some inspiration to our own lives. In today's episode, I had the opportunity to speak with someone who has been working with people to transform their lives. To his credit, he has led programs for over 140,000 people. He later pivoted into organizational transformation, helping companies achieve what's possible for them. He humbly acknowledges his early struggle for lack of big degree, but seems like he spent his life making a huge difference with people who had big degrees. That's ironical and an inspirational story. I had the opportunity to talk to him about his early struggle, the evolution of his life's purpose, the jolt from personal transformation to organizational transformation, and finally, what's next for him. Let's welcome Hiren Modi. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing to it so you get the latest updates. Hit like if you like this video and leave your comments. Let us know if you took something away from this conversation. Hi Hiren, welcome to WorkYogi Diaries.
Hey, thank you, man. Thank you, Santosh. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure having you in this show. I've known you for many years. Most notably, I know you as someone who's been, um, a leader in the personal transformation space. And I know it's been a fascinating journey of your work. So, we want to get to talk about that, how you got into it, and what kind of keeps you at it for this long.
Sure.
So, so before that, I want to quickly have you do a personal introduction, and we'll jump in.
Yep, Santosh. So first of all, thank you very much for having me here. And uh, I'm sure in the discussion that we have, you and I'm going to discover a lot about myself and what went right. So thank you for that opportunity. Just to introduce myself a little bit, my name is Hiren Modi, and I'm right now leading the operations for our group of companies headquartered from US, the names being InterraWorks and Effective Edge. And I've been associated with them since around 12 years now. Uh, I have been involved into transformative training and coaching since 1985. 1985, when my wife took a stand for bringing the work of Landmark in Ahmedabad. And before I did any of the first programs, I started leading introductions, taking a stand, but then you need to fill up the classes.
Mhm.
So started, that was my, first stint at talking to groups of people, interacting, presenting something. And that continued. 86 onwards, I started leading their seminars along with other things that I used to do. I was a course supervisor. I was various things we used to do because the center was under formulation. So there is no, particular designation one has. So that journey began at that time. And along with that, well, just in life, I was trying to survive, somehow get some money to pay this bill and get some money to pay that bill.
Mhm.
So life was like day to day. That is how it went. I left the family business and did not have an MBA from IIM or anywhere.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, but did various things. You know, took charge of confectionery sales and franchising model for one company. I also did a lot of broking, the agricultural land broking. So, like, I'd be on my scooter and traveling like 50, 60 kilometers in 45 degrees centigrade
Wow.
just to meet some of the farmers and to convince them to sell their lands and so gather land like that and then to sell it to somebody,
Mhm.
which was a long process. But I somehow used to enjoy that. I used
Mhm.
to enjoy interaction with all those people, the farmers and the family. They're pretty simple, straightforward, sitting right in the middle of them, eating with them, smoking with them,
Mhm.
their traditional BDs, and learning that language also.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was funny. An entire day I would spend there like that, speaking in the typical rural language, the dialect. And I come back and get ready and go to the seminar and speak in English. But yeah, life went on, continued with whatever I was doing, small little here and there, and did some couple of jobs in some companies and advertising. And I also try, launched a travel agency, ran it for a couple of years, and then there's the funding which was supposed to come in never came in, and eventually closed it down. So all the things that I was trying just to make sure I get
Mhm.
something, some horse that I can ride to the
Mhm.
destination of survival. But
Mhm.
none of that was happening. And again in '96, there's an opportunity to go and get trained as a forum leader. And one thing I was clear actually in '88 or '90, uh, we had the first advanced course in India, and I participated in that, and I took a stand that my life is going to, the purpose of my life is going to be about making a difference.
Mhm.
And that was what was calling me to be around Landmark also. We are not getting paid or anything.
Right.
Our home, our bedroom was Landmark office. Used to have meetings at 2 o'clock in the morning. So, uh, but when I created that, the purpose and step by step, it started becoming more and more real. The more I wanted to take on only those things which would really matter, which would really make a difference. So
Mhm.
my conversations also began to alter. And with all of that going on in '96, when there was another opportunity, it fell into the line of my purpose.
Mhm.
So I took it on, and it was a 9 month long intensive training. Most people told
So,
me.
before we jump into that, so that's a great background, right? In terms of you were surviving by making small jobs, but most of the time, what I'm hearing is that you were doing something entrepreneurial. There was mostly a travel agency, or you were doing some kind of a land acquisition business. But at the core of it, you were busy leading seminars. And for those of people who are listening to this, Landmark Education is an educational company focused around personal transformation. And that's where even I met Hiren when I was doing those programs. And so you were talking about your purpose evolving as all this was happening, and something clicked, right? I mean, this is after a long time of doing, figuring out, trying to figure out what you wanted to do, and then something clicked about
Yeah,
committing yourself to that
it
purpose.
was more like it evolved in words, like in spirit. it was there when I began assisting and volunteering at Landmark.
Mhm.
And I was very clear what called me there was the opportunity to make a difference,
Mhm.
which gave me energy. I would sleep for 2 hours within 24 hours, and I'll still be energetic to go for the next full
So,
day.
so let's talk a little bit about that. When you say making a difference, what do you mean? Can you talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, see, each individual or organization or society, in other words, each entity uh, innately has the capacity to grow to the next level for what's possible for them.
Mhm.
Now, they have the capacity, maybe they know it, they don't know it. Sometimes those priorities of our actually growing, I'm not talking about learning new things,
Mhm.
like learning a computer language. That's not the growth I'm talking about. I'm talking about growth means as a person, as who you are, you expand.
Mhm. Mhm.
So your reach of influence is also much bigger.
Mhm.
Not only you gather gyan, but you actually expand. So that is what I mean by growth. And so it's like, everybody wants to grow, everybody has a capacity to grow. There are two things which happen. Either they get lost into the daily day struggle and survival, like myself,
Mhm.
they get lost into that and they give up that, they lose that opportunity for that real growth to happen in their life.
Mhm.
Or secondly, they don't know how to, they need access. So when you provide these two to them, that awareness and the access, it's an opportunity which I have not yet seen anybody who does not want to grab.
Yeah, yeah. Got it. Got it. So that's clear. So that's what making a difference in your world means when you took that on as a purpose, right?
Yeah, it shows up like, for example, when I talk about the social challenges and issues.
Mhm.
Now, that is not one individual you're talking about. You're talking about a whole thought process, which is beyond any individual,
Mhm.
a whole psyche, like society having a psyche, a mindset.
Mhm.
That is what you're dealing with.
Mhm.
The same thing will show up in a different way, but the point is, society can also evolve at the next level, which is the need of the day. It has been the need of the day for quite many decades, but now it is kind of getting to a climax with this pandemic and all, and we know we as a society also have failed.
Mhm.
So looking at all of that, uh, like since 3 years, I do a lot of pro bono work also. In our company also, we have Best Yet Foundation. So, I would go and deliver the work here to a non-profit NGO, and who is doing this kind of work, maybe in education, maybe in social upliftment, health, hygiene, so many areas. So then we would give our technology, our expertise, because they can't afford it. They can't afford to hire people like us. So we give it to them free of cost. We work very closely with them to support them, to empower them, to enable them
Yeah.
to strongly move further in fulfilling whatever they are committed to. So I'm talking about that kind of work, which really makes a difference. Things will not be the same after
Mhm.
that.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
So going back, flashback, 96, you constituted yourself as your purpose being your life being about making that difference. Like really your life being about having individuals and society expand, right? So just so the
Yeah.
viewers are clear about what we are speaking about in this domain. So go ahead. Now you were in 96. So when I asked you that question.
Yeah, I'm also just to add so that their life is not the same after that intervention.
Mhm. Mhm.
It is enriched. Yeah, so in '96, then I went for training in US. It was a 9 month uh, tenure away from home, traveling week after week to a different city, to a different continent, with some trainers and getting trained, and maybe hardly getting 2 hours sleep. And I lost around 22 kilos weight at that time.
You were
And
happy with that, or was it
not, no, at that time
unintended?
I was not overweight the way I am right now. So I was pretty skinny, and then to lose 20 kilos was like only the bone structure coming home. So anyway, so but I learned a lot. I learned, you know, again in the context of my life about being about making a difference. That is what I learned a lot more about. It's like, there are so many of our internal barriers, thoughts, processes, feelings, opinions, judgments, preferences, and so much of I is there, right? So all of that coming in the way of making a difference. It always comes in the way. Fears and survival and all of that coming in the way of making a difference. Or my, like my nature, my anger, my temper. Now when I'm leading a course with 300 people and one guy says something stupid contrary to me, and I can't lose it. And my job is to make a difference in his life.
Yeah.
So to conquer those inner barriers, to uh, become stronger than those triggers,
Mhm.
it is what I learned. So it's like at some point, it was I became bulletproof,
Mhm.
like in that training. Like no matter what words you throw at me, you won't find any sore point.
Mhm.
So that was a big victory. It taught me in confronting my own fears and dealing with all the odds that come up in face of my commitment to make a difference.
Mhm. And you were traveling quite a bit those days, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, my official schedule was I was home 4 days a month, but for me, I used to be away sometimes for 3 months, sometimes for 6 months. But when I was away for more than 3 months, my family would join me for a couple of weeks. Otherwise, yes, the travel was pretty hectic. Had the opportunity to travel to all different continents, different countries, different cities, and got exposed to a lot of culture. And because delivering such landmark type of a program in different culture is different.
Mhm. And how was it for you? How was it like for you to be this busy and traveling? Because this is a very different lifestyle from a traditional. I mean, someone who's has a 9 to 5 job or a more regular career. How did you deal with that aspect, and what kept you centered without kind of getting affected by this?
I would say, see, there is one thing that kept me centered and grounded was making a difference. That's all that mattered.
Mm.
I didn't care about the kind of food I'm getting, not getting, and not that I would not have preferred, but I could make do with whatever was there. Not having my heart or a part of my mind being stuck at there, eh, keeping on thinking I'm not getting what I want to eat. No, the hotel was a place where one goes in the night and sleeps and gets out in the morning.
Right.
So some people try to convert their hotel into a home kind of an environment, but I never felt the need of it, and I felt uh, How long will I keep faking it to myself?
Mhm.
But anyway, it didn't matter. What mattered was making a difference. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to be standing in front of 200 people.
Mhm. Yep, absolutely.
What am
And
I going to
for
do
folk,
there?
yeah. So this was, so you spent fair amount of, what, probably 10 years, 85, and then at some point in the mid 2000s you moved to more of an organizational transformation kind of a career, right?
Yes, I completed my job. I was moved then in the year 2000 to US by the company. They felt there was more need for me there. So I went there and started taking on various accountabilities, responsibilities, and all. And then in the year 2003, actually, I quit. I left Landmark and came back to India. I didn't want to, stay there and illegally and then figure out a way. And no, I was clear that I do not want my direction to be disrupted.
Mhm.
I'm from Gujarat, right? So there's many Gujaratis who stayed back and at least in some motel or some liquor store or some convenience store, and then eventually they some or the how or the other get their green cards and all that stuff. So I was not interested in that, with that kind of disruption in what my purpose was. So decided to come back in India, and that is where, yes, we set up a consulting firm where we would do corporate trainings.
So is this, was this your own firm, or what, were you collaborating with
I was collaborating in under the guidance of a senior HR veteran in the industry here. I had no clue how to do business and how to approach and how to sell in corporates. That was not my cup of tea. So
yeah.
I was working under his guidance.
So what was that like? What was it like moving from a personal transformation type, you know, work you were doing now to organizational? Was there a big
Yeah,
difference?
yeah, sure. Uh, so see, first few months, I came back and settled down, and I was just trying to formulate the business and what kind of courses we would do and designing some of the courses. So all of that took some time. But in the meanwhile, uh, I was contacted by a friend. He was a colleague with me in Landmark. He had left Landmark Forum leader before I left, but we were buddies. So I come back, and then in Sep- September, October of that year, 2003, I remember still, I was doing one pro bono in one remote village in Gujarat. In the middle of night, this guy calls me, and he says there's a great opportunity and it's a dream project. Once in a lifetime, a consultant would get this kind of a project. So see if you're interested, if you want to explore this. So he sent me out, and there was a whole uh, lead team lead for the project for Agilent Technologies. So till that time, I had no clue what is Agilent, and then I did some research on the internet, and at that time it was $6 billion company, which was huge at that time. So I said, okay, let's go, let's see. Went there and met a team. So we were like 4 or 5 of us. So we all used to get together and we designed some initiatives, looking at what are the outcomes they wanted, and so got to participate in that design, development, delivery, training and development, and the whole initiative. And in this initiative, it was like a two course, actually, it was a 3 month long intervention. Started with a 3 day course, and then there would be 4 or 6 seminar sessions virtually. And then there will be another 3 day course, which was like the advanced course, and that would complete the learning for them. So that was the whole package that we were out there to design and execute. So did that. So and we trained around 25,000 employees right up till the all the operation level manager globally. So again, my travel was as it is. I kept traveling. I took charge of delivery, training, and development in Asia Pacific, APJ region now. So, so as to visit Japan, China, Singapore, Malaysia, wherever they had their teams and facilities, how it is going, review, and next. And so that went on, and I learned a lot. And as you said, transition, I'll tell you how my transition happened.
Mhm.
People see transformation, but they don't see the pain that the worm that goes through when
Mhm.
the legs of the butterfly, the tear of your skin, and they're going to come out, right?
Mhm.
They see the butterfly and they're amazed by it.
Yeah.
So this one, I was leading a course, my first one in Santa Rosa, the Santa Rosa facility, and where there are all the top scientists. R&D department was there, located there, and has to deliver this course to those top scientists, 45 of them. Now, when I say these top scientists, 50% of technology that you and I are using even today has been invented by them.
Mhm.
It was a fallout of HP.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
they're all veterans since that
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
So, so I go there and I start delivering in my landmark way, the way I was trained, right? And within 2 hours, I just had nothing to say. They had cut me down to size, like small, small pieces. And rest 2 of the days, I was just collecting those pieces and try to patch it up and finish it. So, so none of that worked. And I learned, well, there's a drastic difference. I can just be my normal self here. I was trying too hard
Uh-huh.
to drive an output. I mean, I know the content left, right, and center. Because I've been one of the persons who's been engaged in designing it. So that is not the issue, but who I'm being.
Mhm.
So all my, the arrogance that comes along with the landmark forum leader label, all of that, it just in the first one course was completely mutilated.
And did you have a kind of a support structure or
Yes,
to okay.
yeah. The faculty team, we were at that time 4 or 5 of us. We would stay in touch with each other, support each other, learn from each other, learn from each other's great experiences, learn from each other's nasty experiences, and it would also give us idea about how to deliver to which group. Given that we are going to train everybody, right from CEO level to all the operation managers.
So what was this training about? What were you trying to train the people on?
See, what was happening is at that time they were running into heavy losses quarter after quarter, and we wanted to turn around the ship. It was high time, 4 or 5 years, still running into losses, and no having no real hands on the levers and gears, which would take you to that success to turn it around. So, so we did a kind of a diagnostic study. We studied the culture of the organization, how things work, how decisions are made, how decisions are executed, how reviews are conducted, and all those things. And then we identified certain key points which are completely missing but necessary for a business. Like simple thing like focusing on results versus activity.
Mhm.
So rewarding people on results versus their uh, sincerity. So, so that whole cultural shift needed to happen, cultural transformation needed to happen in the organization. So that keeping that in mind, we use the tools of communication because in today's world, you get things done through communication. So communication has to be there, and we customized every aspect of it. What kind of communication being used? Like here in Agilent, if somebody is making a request, what is the kind of a request that you would be making? And what is an effective way of making a request? But everything so that at the end of it, end of that communication, there is commitment made or action is taken.
Mhm.
So, so that was the first course basically, and some transformation of mindsets from being a victim to actually being a leader, thinking as a leader rather than thinking as a victim. So with all
So
of that,
does
yeah, go ahead.
does any of this have anything to do with what you did landmark at all, or this was
No,
completely a different, totally
com-
different?
totally different, completely different. It's also, then I realized that whatever I did at Landmark was never only limited to Landmark.
Mm.
I mean, a lot of it is happening in so many disciplines already. A lot of thinking has gone into there even before Landmark came into existence. So, but this was not based on the technology.
Mhm. Okay. So you said you talked about the whole experience of transition, and the whole 2 hours. So what changed for you after that? I mean, what
Well,
did
the
you?
first thing that I learned was I became humble. When you're out to make a difference, you have some kind of arrogance about it,
Mhm.
which I never saw. I'm grateful to those 45 scientists who broke it down for me. And so I learned humility and making a difference was there. But that's not about me. So I learned I also needed to manage making a difference, it being about me versus it being about them. That awareness also came up, became humble. And this initiative went on for around 7 years.
Yep, yep. Very clear, very clear. So personal branding, right? So something like this, what you do, of course, with Landmark, it was there's an organization behind, there's a certain brand that you're associated with, but a lot of what you do now is very entrepreneurial, isn't it? A lot of it depends on you yourself creating a personal brand, a network. Uh, how what is your approach to that? What is your approach to creating a personal brand in a business like
Uh,
this?
well, to be honest, I never earlier thought of it that way.
Hmm.
Uh, Actually, last year, when I was 58, this year I'm 59. So at 58, I took on, okay, now I need to have a breakthrough in marketing,
Hmm.
learn marketing. I've never done any kind of marketing. So my clients, where they came from, well, in Landmark, I trained close to 140, 150,000 people globally.
Hmm.
And a lot of people, like, how we are in touch, a lot of people have been in touch. And so it started really, the ball started rolling really in Surat, in Gujarat.
Hmm.
I did a lot of courses in Ludhiana, in Delhi, in Hyderabad, in Kolkata, in Mumbai. A lot of trainings I did, but it was like some of the other graduates saying, "Can you come and do it for us?"
Hmm.
So people approach me, benefit of good karmas, right?
Hmm.
So people approach me, and now it's like My the work that I do with SMEs, the entrepreneurial side that you said, it all comes from references.
Okay.
My client would talk to somebody else, a friend of theirs who's running an industry, and that somebody else would give me a call,
Mhm.
and we'd meet up and we'd start. Fortunately, for that work that we've been doing in India, and I've been doing it since last 11 years, you know, in the process we call best year yet process, which is for 1 year, 1 full year, 12 months, where we build a strategy plan for the business, and we help them, coach them, work with them on executing that plan. Because
Mhm.
plans don't get executed, the end of the year results don't match the plan. So this whole execution process also we coach them on. So so far in India in 11 years, every single client who got a contract of 1 year with us, every single one of them have repeated. So you're talking about 100% repeat ratio.
Mhm.
I've had clients who've been repeating it for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years at a stretch, and then maybe taking a break for a year or two and again restarting. So that's the kind of value creation that you're talking about. The client repeats, client. So I didn't have to do much of try to do much of sales and marketing.
Mhm. Yeah, I think you use the word past karma, but I think, in other words, it's a power of network, right? Your own personal credibility and what you've
Yeah.
done for other people, is your network. And
Yeah.
I think it's something like what you're doing, which is very entrepreneurial. That is a very powerful resource. So, in your view, now that you've done this level of so much of work with organizations, what is, in your view, the core, you know, diagnosis of why certain organizations thrive versus others who that don't? Is there some kind of a point of view that you guys have developed in the process?
Yeah, it's like, I was reading an article somewhere, the distinction between Newtonian leadership and quantum leadership.
Hmm.
The Newtonian is like, it's in the world of absolutes. Now,
Okay.
when you're in the world of absolutes, things out there are predictable. But today, you see in businesses, we are not living in the world of absolutes. Everything is dynamic. There is no fixed, absolute, linear parameter.
Hmm.
Everything is dynamic. That's where we've seen, the leadership in last couple of decades has been going bad, and it's been failing. Now, during this COVID times, in many companies, we saw that the failures were much, much more visible. But at the underneath that, the whole distinction of leadership completely alters. The
Mhm.
context of leadership, the way it was earlier, today, that should be the manager's job. Leaders have something else cut out. So one is, and most of these companies, what they think is our team needs all these interventions,
Hmm.
not we. Those companies struggle the most. And there are companies where, all those leaders, they are hungry to learn and grow, they grow. So in other words, I'm just coining something right now, not like
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
pre-decided thought, but even leadership as an entity, if you see, either that exists as a consumer or it exists as a contributor. Where the leadership is consuming energy in, they are going to struggle. Where the leadership is out there to contribute, it'll expand. This is the contextual
Hmm.
aspect of it. But otherwise, on the ground reality, I see people growing when they are given opportunities to contribute, opportunities to innovate, opportunities to see everybody, you and I, when we started our first job, we wanted to do so much. Do you remember those days?
Yeah, yeah.
So much we wanted to do. And even if you got 5% of the opportunity to do what you wanted to do, you're so thrilled.
Hmm.
But what was missing was we were not given those opportunities, those platforms, those playgrounds. All right, guys, go and do it. Had we be given that opportunity, we would have produced much more than the phenomenal results you already produced. Satisfaction. Why should I look for somewhere else?
Hmm.
So organizations don't foster that contribution, that innovation. They don't have environment, structures, processes in place where people can really come and contribute. Today's manager is thinking that I'll have to make sure they do it. As if they joined the company having decided, I don't want to do it, but I want salary. The whole thought process is skewed up. The
Right.
manager's job is to just encourage people to do what they really want to do and remove the barriers which are in the way for them to win.
Hmm.
If their people win, I mean, manager's victory is a done deal.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense and loud and clear. I think what you articulated. So I'm guessing that the work that you do today with organizations really centers around transforming that distinction of leadership versus managing the
Yeah,
Newtonian and the quantum leadership you
yeah.
talked about. Terrific, terrific. Hey, that's fascinating. So what's next? Where are you headed in this journey of yours?
Uh, well, right now I'm just working on setting up our InterraWorks work here in India. I've given myself a couple of years to make its existence strong, grounded, and hand over the baton to somebody else.
Hmm.
Because
Okay.
I will be 60 and I want to, after those couple of years, I want to, whatever work I do, I want to make sure that I do a lot of pro bono.
Hmm.
I mean, there are organizations, groups, people who are doing phenomenal work and they are not able to culminate that into or manifest that into real difference for multitude of reasons. And somewhere to do whatever I can to enable the enablers.
Makes sense.
That's my exit plan for the from the work life. Yeah, I mean there's you know I still feel there is some left in me which I've not yet given out. So in next couple of years want to give it all out and then go out and make a difference at a different level.
Yeah. Your life has been about making a difference, and we can hear and sense that that's not going to stop.
Yes, and also one other thing is which I did not share with you about when you asked me what next. Uh, I'm very actively into my spiritual pursuits.
Hmm.
See, like, if you look at our Shastras, how it says at different ages, different stages, and all, right? It's just panning out so perfectly well for me. So once I retire, I'm clear my life is going to be about my sadhana, my pursuit. Since 10 years, I've uh, my guru has found me, I would say, and I've been honored, privileged, and living a life of calm, serenity, peace, and connection with the divine. So that's what I'm going to pursue, and this pro bono work I will do with few organizations. So that's where it is headed. But before that, I need to complete my responsibility of having created a strong structure before I leave so that nothing goes down, things keep growing.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And like the way that you've, you started life in a certain way, chaotic, survival oriented, and you've kind of managed your work life in such a way that it's more than just getting your pay slip. You've made a huge impact. Like you said, you've trained 140,000 people in the area of transformation, and you're continuing to do that in the organizational space. And you have a nice vision for yourself after this, which is peace, divinity, and spirituality. So it sounds great.
Yeah.
Terrific, Hiren. Great conversation. We're coming to the last part of our conversation, which is I have something called a rapid fire round, which is a bunch of fun questions that I'm going to ask,
Okay.
mostly related to work and work and travel, related to work. So, you ready for that?
Yep.
Okay, let's go. So, first thing, communication has changed over the years. So, your preference, texting or talking?
Talking.
Okay. The place you want most to travel after the pandemic?
I want to go and stay at my guru's ashram.
Where is that?
It's close by in Gujarat only, around 1 hour, 1.5 hours drive. But because of the pandemic, I've not been able to go there to stay there.
Okay,
Not safe
that
for
is what
them.
it
Yep.
is. That is what it is. Yeah, absolutely. What's your favorite junk food?
Pizza.
That's as junk as it gets for you.
Yeah.
All right. And this question looks like you already answered, but I'm going to ask anyway. Your most inspirational personality in your life, or who's inspired
Uh,
you in your journey?
yeah. In the past, I think I would attribute a lot of my mentorship to Debu. Debu Ghosh was an earlier forum leader, but he trained me. He worked with me very, very closely, and he was Air Force major, and I've been to his boot camps many times,
Okay.
but that grounded me, made me stronger. And then now my inspiration for this life is my guru.
Yeah. Terrific, Hiren. Well answered. Although some questions you already had answered during the conversation. I really enjoyed talking to you. We're kind of coming to a wrap up right now. Any final wrap up comments before we sign
No,
off?
I mean, just thank you very much because it also gave me an opportunity to rewind my life and look at the reel again. And I also got present to so many things, you know, because you by yourself, you don't spend time like this thinking and looking at your life like this. So it was wonderful. Thank you very much, Santosh. Thank you for the opportunity and thank you for everything. Thank you for being in my life.
Thank you, Hiren. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and we shall stay in touch.
Sure. Absolutely.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.